Hello everyone, my name is Nestor Falcon, and in this session I'm going to show you how we can leverage third-party data using DX RESTMon. This data will be ingested into the data lake of DX Operational Intelligence, which is a product of our AIOps platform. DX RESTMon is going to enable us to ingest data from multiple domains like network, infrastructure, application. This data will participate into the ML AI algorithms to produce relevant insights like anomaly detection, capacity analytics, predictions insight, or root cause analysis. So you will be able to monitor any technology or device data that contains an API REST exposing metrics, topology, logs, or alarms. The RESTMon package is a component of the DX Gateway. DX Gateway is a solution of our AIOps platform that is going to enable the user to integrate with third-party applications, also to integrate with ITSM solutions, and also act as a log collector. So DX RESTMon provides a great framework to connect, integrate, and monitor any solution exposing data over a REST API. As you can see on this slide, RESTMon is basically driven by two configuration files. One is the profile, which is a JSON file containing the data source connection details from where we are going to pull or push the data from. And then it is also driven by a schema file. This file, again, is just a JSON file that contains the details of the data that we're going to monitor, like URLs from where to fetch topology, metrics, alarms, inventory, etc. At the time of recording this video, we provide more than 10 out-of-the-box schemas to connect and to collect data from the most common technologies being used by our customer base, but DX RESTMon is also designed to easily create new schemas, which in the end is just a JSON file containing several definitions about from where and how to collect the data. In this demo, I will just explain and give an overview of how to create this schema file to connect to a REST API and bring this data into DX Operational Intelligence. So this will be the final result of the demo. I will show how to build a schema to import topology, alarms, and metrics from a REST API exposing network data. So let's jump into the demo and see how we can use DX RESTMon to get data from any source into our data lake and make it ready from our ML and AI algorithms to produce relevant insights. So I'm going to start showing the REST API that we're going to target for monitoring, right? We have three different APIs. The first one is exposing topology. As you can see, it's in a JSON format. I have formatted it into JSON for easier the reading. And it contains several fields. It's a flat structure, so it's pretty easy to read and to identify the relevant fields. So topology contains an ID, vendor, owner, location, IP, MAC, and product. Okay, so we're going to target this URL to collect topology. Then we have another API that is going to expose different alarms. Again, it contains an ID that references the impacted server with a message, timestamp, severity, product, and an alarm unique ID. And finally, we have another URL that is exposing metrics. Again, the key between these APIs, it is the ID. So once we have identified the different URLs to collect the data, we need to start building the schema. Let me mention that one of the supported languages to extract data from JSON REST API is JSON path, right? So as you can see on this example, I have pasted the payload from the topology REST API, and using this JSON path, we can extract the ID from this field. Again, if I put vendor here, I can extract the vendor from all the nodes, right? So we're gonna use this JSON path syntax in our schema definition for DX RESTMon. So I'm switching now to the DX RESTMon schema. If at any point you need to check other schemas for reference, you can always go to the DX gateway installation, and in the folder RESTMon schema, you have several examples that are being used to pull data from different technologies. So you can use them as reference, as template, or just to check how we're pulling data from different REST APIs. For the time being, I will just create a schema called NetOps that is going to target those APIs that I have been showing before. So we have different blocks. The first and most relevant block is URLs, right? So in the URLs, it just defines the different endpoints and it gives an ID for each of them. So as you can see, there is an endpoint for topology, another one for metrics, and alarms. We can also use variables and several authentication mechanisms to log into the API. For the purpose of this demo, I will just embed the key directly into the URL, and I will focus on explaining these different blocks, how to get topology, how to get alarms, and metrics. So each section contains different needed fields. I'm going to expand topology and just show how do we pull data. So this block contains the JSON definition about how we are going to pull the data. So again, here we say from which URL we're going to target to pull the topology information. This is a group to logically group the data being collected by this URL. And then here we specify how do we collect the different attributes associated to my topology. So as you can see, we start using the JSON path, right? For the CI unique ID, we use this JSON path to retrieve the CI unique ID of each element. So going back to my API, we can see that I want to extract this value. So I'm using this JSON path. Same for vendor, owner, location, IP, MAC, and product. So all this data is being collected by using JSON path expression. And then I'm also hard coding some of the value, like I'm saying that this is a type host system, right? I'm also setting RESTMon as a source, right? And also putting some tags that will help me to identify this topology. And I'm also telling that the parent of this element is this ID. So we can ingest also topology and relationships between the elements. So this could be the block for topology. As you can see, these are some of the key values that I have used, but you can pretty much introduce any key value pair to populate, to enrich your topology with different attributes that are being exposed in the target REST API. So let me compact now topology, and I'm going to explain briefly about alarms. So the logic is the same. We specify the URL that it is exposing the alarm data. We also specify a group to tag to this specific section. And then we can also use variables. For example, here I'm saying that use as a timestamp the current time. All this is also in the documentation, the variables that we can use. And again, I'm collecting several fields using JSON path like host, product, severity, message, etc. Let's take a quick look at the API to see how it looks like. So this would be the API exposing the alarms. And again, I'm just collecting these fields by specifying those in the DX RESTMon schema. And I'm also tagging this data. So finally, we have metrics. Here we need to define a block for each metric. For example, here I have two blocks. I'm going to collect CPU and memory. The logic is the same. We are, again, collecting the different fields, and we just need to respect the metric unit, metric unique ID, metric name, and metric type. So for this case, I'm just collecting two metrics, and the value it's given, the URL and the value are given in this in these fields. So as you can see, I'm collecting CPU value and memory value. If we check quickly the metric API, we can see how those values are being exposed for each host or router in this case. So I'm going to compact now the metrics block, and I would like to mention that we also have the ability to use functions, to use calculated method if I want to do any conversion on the fly from the data being read. We can also do different mappings, like for example, if I read alarms, I can map numbers to severity, and we can do all those mappings on the fly. So this would be a very simple schema that we're going to use to pull metrics from 3 different APIs, not only metrics, alarms, and topology as well. So as you can see, the value is huge to connect and integrate with any third-party data source that is exposing data via REST API. So any technology, it can be like infra platform or Kubernetes or any KPIs being exposed over REST API or licensing information can be pulled and ingested into our DX operational intelligence by using DX RESTMon tool. So to quickly recap, I have explained quickly how to build the schema. I will now explain briefly what is the profile and how do we build it. The profile in a nutshell, it's just to tell from where do we get the data and where we're going to send it. In this case, we will send the data to our DX operational SaaS APIs, and I will also show from which APIs we are collecting the data. So this would be the profile definition. It just has a name of the profile. It specifies the schema that we're going to use. In this case, I'm using the same for both. The polling interval, the tenant name, this is going to tag all the data coming into DX operational intelligence with my tenant. So all the data going into our AIOps platform is multi-tenant. And then we specify the REST API connect details. This would be the target from where we're reading the data, and it just contains the base URL. And here I can enable or disable which monitor groups I want to use or I want to enable in DX RESTMon. So now I'm going to proceed to take the schema and going into the DX RESTMon landing page, which is Swagger API. From here we can do several operations, right, related to admin, profiles, and schema. I'm going to start by uploading a schema. So I come here, I put my schema data, I specify the name, I click on try it out, and I get a success message schema is uploaded. And same for the profile. We can just come here to add a profile, specify our profile details, and upload it. And from that moment, DX RESTMon will go out and start collecting data from the target APIs. So let's take a look now how we can see the data in DX operational intelligence. I'm on the landing page, service analytics, and from here I can choose to create a service, and I'm going to filter by product. If you remember, we were also collecting the product field from the API, which is set to NetOps. So we can see that here there is a product called NetOps that contains all the data that we are collecting. So you can see also how we have built a hierarchy because we were specifying that one of the devices was the parent of the others. And when we click on any of these CIs, we can see also the alarms that are being asserted under that CI. And if we click another element, we can see also the different attributes that we are sent from the DX RESTMon, like the CI unique ID, host name, owner, product, and vendor. So all this data is making it to task, and it's now easy to consume for service analytics and root cause analysis and also DX dashboards. So we can easily create a service now using the data being collected from RESTMon. So here it is. We have the service that I have created using RESTMon topology, and we can also see the different alarms. that are being associated to these devices belonging to these services. And finally, we can go to DX dashboards and just check in our NAS how we can see the different metrics being sent by DX and RESTMon. So I hope this session has been useful, and it shows you the power of leveraging DX and RESTMon to monitor third-party applications or technologies. DX RESTMon is an excellent tool to integrate data from multiple domains and make the data available in our data lake for service analytics, root cause analysis, and DX dashboards. Thank you for watching.